So gradually and gradually, we are coming closer to the end of this chart. But I do have two parliamentarians who have never contributed so far. But I'm going to ask, I'm going to let Festin to possibly use his own last 2 minutes too. What would, I don't know, you can go and listen to Seku's response to your first questions, okay? And maybe I will add mine too. But please, you have got just about 2 minutes to say something.
I'll be very brief.
Please.
So in this issue of, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So this issue of U.S. military base being built in Nigeria, we ought to ask ourselves, how has the U.S. treated black people in its country? There's a deliberate attempt to keep black Americans as permanent underclass. When we look at the history of the U.S. dealing with black people, black women were raped and they had no right. They actually passed laws that says black men have no right to defend themselves. There's a term called buck breaking. This is when black men, the strongest black men who would rebel against the white masses, they were raped, black men being raped. And after slavery ended, they created attempts to uneducate black people so they won't know their rights. Nothing really changed after slavery up until the civil rights movement in the 1960s. And yet still, the US government tested, there's something called Tuskegee syphilis studies, where they infected black soldiers with syphilis. They are Tuskegee Airmen. So they infected them with syphilis. Several other places in the Pacific Islands where the US military, they used humans as guinea pigs. They tested the effect of nuclear weapons on them. I don't think our politicians know any of this. And Nigeria is blessed. We look at Yorubas and Igbos and Hausa, their population. Maybe God deliberately made us very popular so we would be the superpower of Africa, but we relegated that role to the US now. When you see Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger kicking the French out, they all to naturally come to Nigeria for protection, not the Russians. So we are just handicapped. The Russians are coming in, the Americans are coming in, the French are still trying to stay. So it's a very sad situation for us black people because we are the bearers of black civilization, and we've divided ourselves with religion, and then we have our country being testing ground for military, potential military wars, the Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, and I don't see how this will get any better anytime soon. So that's all I want to say. I'll pass the mic to the other speakers.
Thank
Thank
you so much. Okay. And then you should, I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea, right? While you're about to drive right now to listen to what Seku will say. But, whichever way, right, he's going to respond to your first questions. Okay, Baba, thank you so much for tonight. Okay. Enjoy the rest of the day. That is Festus Oshifeso. And also, I'm keeping the best for the last, and I've got 3 to 4 best now, I would say. But I'm going to let Celia, who just joined back, to also use her own last 2 minutes. See, Celia, your last 2 minutes is about what you think should be your final, what do you call it, your final, bombshell concerning the conversation tonight. So you could go for it. Quickly, please.
Okay. I just came back to say thank you for the opportunity I was given earlier to speak and even to come back. And then watching the demolition going on in Lagos is not funny. It's heartbreaking because I know with the times we're in, things are hard, and then someone has a building and then tomorrow the government just go and pull it down. It's not funny, it's not fair. If there's anything we can do, let's watch our backs, at the same time fight for our freedom, because I feel like we're tight, right? Our right is being like, they're just holding us, and then we have rights. We're human beings like them. I tell you, if we put our hands together, we can do this. So let's keep moving. we're not backing down. Let's keep up the fire, and that's just it. It's just a whole lot going on. So thank you very much, guys.
You are so welcome, and thank you so much for coming back as well. Okay, sending well to the family too, Celia. Such a pleasure. So we just have the Lady Celia there with us. So Seku, we're almost at that point, but I'm going to let Adiola use his own 4 minutes. It's important that we stick to that time. You know that.
Michael, have fun now.
I'm very well, though. It's good to see your face again.
I don't even know if I should scatter this place or just.
It's been honestly speaking, it's been an interesting night, I have to say.
An interesting night. I think
it seems like you couldn't really look away. You couldn't just go to bed and say,
No. I think when I saw the military base conversation, it just made me irate, man. It just became angry with that whole conversation. Maybe if I take my starting argument from what Festus mentioned, the way they view us as Black people hasn't changed. If you see what I mean. So the way they interact with us hasn't changed. The way they met us, God knows how many 100 years ago, whatever years ago it has been, hasn't changed. They see us from the same lens. You can take advantage of them, you can divide them, and you can extract from them, and it's just for you for the taking. So that's the way they see you. There isn't any. They wouldn't relate with you the way they relate with a Saudi. You don't have the same rules of engagement. You don't have the same platform to negotiate like a Saudi. So the argument Oluke was saying, I think, is heavily flawed and will not hold any water. With no respect to that particular saying. That's the first thing. There's a way they engage with us. They use this model called the Hegelian dialectic. There's the thesis where there's a problem. There are many terrorists there. There are many rubbish there. Then there's the anti-thesis, which is what should we do to fight the thesis? And there's not the synthesis. That's the answer. And most times, they want to reestablish the synthesis. The synthesis and the thesis are the same. This is my point. So how can we take over Africa? How can we take over Nigeria? Oh, let's say there is insurgency. Let's say there's problem. Let's send our military base. Then the synthesis will now be we've taken over Africa, or we've taken over Nigeria. So the thesis is how can we maintain control? It's not about how can we help you. It's about how can we take advantage. How can we secure your lithium? How can we secure your cobalt, your coltan? Then what's the anti? Oh, this person is a bad person. Let us take over their country. Let us give them a military base. And the synthesis is they will establish their thesis, which is to take over everything. There's a cost to a military base. It's not a free enterprise. It's not. It will cost them. And the question is, what will it cost us? And the answer is, another question is, can we afford that cost? It's not about using what you have to get what you want. That thinking is heavily flawed because there are outcomes to those decisions. If you invite somebody to do the job that you can do, it's going to cost them, and they have to make a profit. They're not there to help you. They're not there to save you. And if they were there to save you, they will show a demonstrable track record of saving you. But there's no demonstrable track record. They haven't demonstrated in the past that they've been able to engage with us on an equal footing that is mutually beneficial to both parties. And the record is out there. It's glaring. Even you see the CIA saying Africa is not a place of priority for them. Black Africa is not a place of priority for them. So if they return there, that means there's something they want out of it. So no one should come on this platform to say, oh, you should use what you want to get what you to get. No, with someone, you say maybe you can use that model to someone that sees you as an equal. It's about choosing the right partners to work with. So if you believe someone sees you as an equal beneficial party, then you can use that model. Then that model about Luke will come into play. But in this case, your chosen ally is not even your ally. He's not even your ally. So why are you coming on this platform without thinking through the cost of a military base? They're going to pay their soldiers in dollars. They're going to pay them, insurance, all those stuff. It is your gold, is your lithium that will pay for it. And the question is in profit terms. Is if they put in 1 billion for their military base, the question is how many times of that 1 billion are we going to make? Is the honest conversation. I can argue with anybody from morning to night. They will say maybe 10 times, 10x of our 1 billion. That's how they secure their wealth. That's how business is done. It's not, Baba, it's figures, man. It's spreadsheets. It's your cost and profit, Baba. Me, Wakajari, you know, very.
You should join us earlier, like I told Cham too. It would have been
Baba, the para now. Your person can tell me say now profit. Tell me say, Baba, me I know the para. Enjoy.
You have a wonderful night yourself, okay? And hopefully I'll be able to attract or push a lot of you out early enough than late hour. Now we are doing overtime, and here is Osita. Osita, this is your face. A lot of people have been asking for you, and there are many people are asking for. I told them, right? Osita doesn't really come out. Osita be like that a big masquerade, right? You have to summon him, and if there's really summon the big masquerade, right? It won't come out. I don't know what brought you out tonight. It must be something.
What happened is that I just came back from Nigeria just 2 days ago.
Oh.
I lost my beloved elder sister, so I went for the burial.
Oh, so sorry about that, man.
So really? It's still a question of Nigeria and happening to somebody, you understand? Whereby she has been going to the hospital for a while, for like 2 years now. They are treating something for another thing.
Wow, wrong diagnosis. Osita, I am so sorry about that once again. And it never stops, okay? It never ends. And until as Nigeria exists, it never ends. We are all awaiting always. We've got just about 5 minutes for you. Do you think you use that?
All right.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity because I got late. I was so surprised I could still get into the
Thank you.
Anyway, the subject of today is something I've always talked about. And like I've always said, we keep talking about Nigeria, we keep talking about Africa and Africa, but there is an unseen enemy that portrays themselves to be friends. And what is happening today in Africa, especially in Nigeria, is an idea that has been built long ago. And that idea started with the Berlin Conference of 1884, right? So that Berlin Conference, what we will have asked ourselves the question is, what was the motive of that conference? Why was there no representation of Africa in that conference? So you will know what is going on. In the year, in the 1970s, the person they said is the greatest diplomat the American government, the Americans have ever produced, the then Secretary of State, who just died, I think this year, last year, I can't remember. He wrote a memo. That memo is a hidden memo.
And
that memo, you say what?
Kissinger.
Yeah. And that memo, yes, and that memo, what it dictates is that they have made a grievous mistake in allowing the Asia world to escape. But they must not allow Africa to escape, because Africa is the food basket of the world. That if Africa gets it right, then the whole world will go on hunger. That was the illustration he has about Africa in that book. So at the end of the day, what are you saying? What he was trying to tell you, that they have to maintain the status quo from the Berlin Conference, where we had no representation. The whole problem that you are seeing around the world, the globe today, is because that conversation needed to be revisited. It has to be rewritten. It has to be in a way, in an accordance that everybody has his own representation, so that you can speak your mind, so that everybody can lay down their own ideology. Then it's like a marketplace whereby everybody has his own power to bargain. But they don't want to have it. And this was what we saw that produced the worst president in the history of mankind, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I don't know his real name, but that is the name he bears.
Shongolere. Name plenty. Yes. Use anyone that comes to your mind. Go on. Sorry.
Yes. So we didn't see all these things coming up. This was one of the bargain that they gave to him, because they saw it that they were already losing Africa. They saw it. They saw it that we are becoming educated. They saw it that we have the highest number of youths in the world. They saw all these things, and they knew that the youths are willing to take their chances. So what did they do? They needed a shift of base. And if they request for it, Tinubu cannot say no, because they are the one that put him there. So whatever anybody is thinking about, I keep saying to us, we as African, we as Nigerian, we will be the only people to survive us from this mess. Nobody else is going to fight this fight for us. When you look at what they are saying, they are already here. They are already in Nigeria. All these things that we are saying, we keep saying all these things, they are already there. Believe me, when you move around the whole areas of Nigeria, you'll find out that they are already there. There's no smoke without fire. As far as it has already been said, the motion has been set. The ball has been set rolling. Now they are telling us from nowhere. They told us about the coastline, whatever they want to do in Nigeria. Did you think about it? How can Nigeria that is broke is now talking about a coastline way? How is it magic? So it shows that there is an intention. There is something going on that me and you would not been able to see. The only thing that God gave us right now is the internet, whereby we are able to find and locate things that they ever think that they can hide from all of us. Speaking frankly, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that a stranger can do for you. If I want to come to your house today to buy something from you, I am going to bargain from what I can gain, not what you can gain. Until we begin to have that thinking in our minds, that it has to be African first, it has to be Nigeria first, it has to be Liberia first. If we don't start thinking in that same direction, we will just be tossing ourselves here and there. Believe me, it is not as if the Chinese. One more last thing, please, my brother.
Thank you so much.
One more last thing.
All right. No, because of that time, you can't go on, all right?
All right.
Over 7 minutes, okay?
Please, all right, thank you very much.
From getting home in time myself, all right? I no longer
all right, this. God bless you. Bye for now.
I really appreciate this, Osita. I hope I'll get you next time early enough. I keep saying it to every one of you. Earlier, the better, but I appreciate this.
All right? No problem. You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you so much, Osita. Now, I've got just about 5 minutes for you too, Sekou, which is going to be a bit of a roundup, and then what you will leave us with on this particular topic that
okay.
Shown a vast interest in so far. Sekou.
Yes, thank you very much, Maigun. And once again, I'm grateful for this opportunity to come here and for us to share ideas and learn. So I will start with Festus' question.
Please.
He said, where did we get it wrong? And he actually talked about the last 500 years, what has happened to the African continent and African people. Where did we get it wrong, even in 2024, that we have some of these challenges? So I was trying to show this book for people who love reading like me, because I love reading a lot. So it's called The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. The Destruction of Black Civilization. So in that book, we find that how did Europeans come on our continent and put people on the ship and enslave them? And they did it for centuries, not 10 years, not 20 years, 100, 200, 300. They kept doing it. Why? Because there were some fundamental problems that we have to address about ourselves. One, there were ethnic disunity in most Africans' kingdoms and most Africans' communities. At least clan, my tribe, my this, even within a kingdom, there was a lot of disunity. And these people came and they capitalized on that disunity and were able to exploit us. So you could tell one king to capture other people from Benin, or you can tell Benin people to capture other people from other neighboring kingdoms so you can sell them. So that disunity